Dan.
How we doing?
I don't know if you've seen the COVID numbers today, but how does that affect your team this week? And do you anticipate getting a number of those guys back and healthy for what's a huge game?
We certainly hope. I have no idea what we're going to have because we haven't gotten today's results. You have to get Thursday's results. But I hope we have better numbers this week than we had last week.
And then secondly, just how big of a game is this? I mean, let's be honest, with everybody behind you having 3 losses, this is essentially an East Division title game.
Yeah, it doesn't clinch it or seal anything, but I mean, it's certainly whoever wins this game certainly is putting themselves in the driver's seat to certainly in the driver's seat to get to Atlanta. You're 2 games up on this team, and you're really 2 games up on everybody else in the league at that point. So it makes it a big game, but it's always been a big game for a long time.
Edgar. Yeah, hey Dan.
How we doing?
Good. No Darth Vader today, huh?
It's not Halloween.
Did you go wake up the whole neighborhood? It was pretty late for
No, I mean you got to have fun. Like I said, one of the things, like I told everybody, and one of the reasons to do it, my son thought it was really cool and funny. But one of the things that I think people miss out on in the coaching profession is you miss a lot of things with the family. Unfortunately, and I'm sure in every profession, I don't want to downplay other things, but you're sitting there, you're spending. You're practicing on Thanksgiving Day. You're spending Christmas and New Year's in hotel rooms. Thanksgiving is always mid-season, and you're always practicing. So I've always been somebody that for our staff is to try to let them be parents, let them be parents. So, unfortunately, we had a night game on Halloween. So usually we take that night off to let the coaches go be with their families so that you can be a parent, and as your kids grow up, they don't resent the fact that their dad was a coach.
Well, you're a fun dad.
I try.
So back on the football though, this summer I think I asked you, couldn't find it in the transcript, but I asked you something about you'd been around championship teams before, coached a number 1 ranked team at Mississippi State, and did this team have that makeup? And you made a mention of you hadn't seen that kind of edge in this team that you'd want. Do you feel like, given all the circumstances, no crowds, all the uncertainty, that you've taken a role here in setting this edge and pushing this team?
I don't know. It's such a different year. I'd love to be a championship team this year. I would love this year for us to go on and win the East, win the SEC championship, win a national championship. I hope I never have anybody having to call me on saying, hey, okay, when we have to shut down the world, how do we win a championship when that happens? I hope this is just a one-time deal because I think it's a very unique, different situation from those. I thought coming into the season, I thought we had the potential to be a championship team. I thought there were certain things I wanted to see us grow on, and that, I think we talked about it. Then, you never got to see it through spring. We never got to see if we could develop all those things. But to be honest with you, I think that to be a championship team this year, it's going to take something a little different than it would in most other years. And if we're able to do that, I hope I don't ever have to replicate it the exact same way, because we don't have to deal with what we're all going through again.
It's just the last few weeks there have been some things that some might say comments or actions that may be controversial, I guess some could say. But they take attention off your team and they seem to fire it up. Do you agree, or is that just coincidental?
I don't know. I guess you'd ask them to see if it does. We're working to try to get them to play at a high level. And be sound, execute, play at a high level, play up to the Gators standard that we expect them to play. So that'd be something to ask the players to see what their thoughts are.
Thanks, Dan.
Gene, you had a question? Shane, you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
All right. Yep, there he is.
Dan, I'm just wondering that obviously when you're playing your biggest rival every year, it's always going to be a big game in the minds of the coaches and the players. Do you feel there is a heightened sense of urgency by the players and yourself because you have not won this game the past couple of years?
No, I think every year it's an independent deal. The 2 years ago we didn't beat Missouri, so that I don't think that changed this year's deal playing them, and so I just think it's usually a big game because it usually has some championship implications in it. But whether we had won or lost last year has no effect on this year's game.
As a follow-up, how much of a factor do you think and an edge it gives you to have somebody like Kyle Trask, who has evolved into the kind of quarterback that I would assume you think can bring you a championship?
Well, I mean, it helps him. He's playing at a high level. He's doing a great job managing our offense. He's doing a great job distributing the ball to the playmakers, limiting mistakes, and shows great leadership within the team. So you need all those things from your quarterback if you're going to have the opportunity to be a championship team. So I think he brings a lot of that stuff to the table. So we're really happy we have him.
Thank you.
Matt Baker.
Hey, Dan, you got some national criticism about what happened the other night. Do you regret anything that you did?
You know what? We made our statement about that. We're on to Georgia, to be honest with you.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at Georgia's defense, what impresses you the most? What jumps out?
The talent level they have front to back. And I don't want to just say it's just players. I think Kirby, they have a great defensive scheme. I think he has a great defensive scheme. They have answers to the questions. He knows it inside and out. They do a good job of putting their guys in great position to make plays. And they're not afraid to tweak. They're different this year than they were last year. But he knows his defense has a great system to put players into position to make plays. They play hard. And then they have talent at every level of the defense. They can put big guys in the game and stop the run. They can put pass rushers in the game to get pressure. They can cover and play man coverage. They can try to confuse you with different looks with a lot of different zones. They mix it up a lot. So they are a very, very good defensive football team, and it's not one thing that makes them a great football team. It's every layer of it that makes them a really good defensive football team.
Thank you.
Nick.
Hey, Coach. Just was wondering about the logistics of traveling to Jacksonville. Obviously, after you had the issues of traveling, what changes in your plans for Saturday?
Well, you know what? I mean, one of the things I think you have with this game, and we tweaked things last week in our travel routine, even Friday and Saturday. We made some tweaks. We're going to try to continue those. We try to spend special attention on who's on what bus going up there. I think, I can't draw the map of the Sawgrass Marriott, but I mean, I know it really well. The spacing you have there, we're able to space out for meals, for walkthroughs, for team meetings. We're able to create. We have a little bit more space than we will. Also, the locker room. You're going to have a normal size locker room, not like a little closet that you have on some of the road games. So I think all of those things kind of ease some of the pressure of dealing with the travel not restrictions, but our travel issues and our travel plans. I think this sets up to be a little bit easier than being a road game.
Was there any thought to maybe just bust up the day of? Or did you always want to go Friday and
Yeah, I mean, you could, but I don't think it does much for you that way. I mean, the facility that you're going to stay in it's not going to be a bad facility to stay in.
Right. And then with no practice or team activities today, how did the schedule change? Did you do more on Sunday, Monday?
Yeah, you had to do a lot more on. You had to make Sunday became a Monday. Sunday was became a Monday. Monday was a Tuesday. Today's a Sunday. Tomorrow's a Wednesday.
Wow.
There you go. I'll let you figure that one out right there. Yeah, it's but I think the benefit is we had to buy it. I guess when we were locked away, COVID lock away, we had the opportunity to get a jump start because we knew this was going to be upon us. After today, it's a regular week, but we knew the Sunday, Monday was going to be tricky.
Thanks, sir.
Hey, Dan, do you guys double up buses? Are there extra buses this year?
Yeah.
Do you know the number?
I think we're 5. Usually
What's
we're
normal?
3.
Okay.
But that, John, you'd have to, John Clark does a lot of that for, he's he's got everybody, he's got the seats and who's where, who's assigned, we have assigned seating at every meal now. So, if we have a team meal, it's assigned seating. So he's kind of working on all of that, who's with who.
Was that even at A&M, or is that?
No, that's something new that we did. We kind of, we felt that, we were spaced out enough, we were spaced out tables, and now we've gone to assign, we had assigned plane, assigned buses, but we thought in a meal, you're in a big meal room, you'd be okay. I don't know that became a factor at all, but it was just another thing we could control, so we decided to control it.
Goldie.
Yeah, Dan, going kind of back to the magnitude of this game, I know previous year's games don't affect this year's game at all, but these are the kind of games that can kind of help cement sort of the upward trajectory of the program if they go your way, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously our goal is to win a championship, and the winner of this game is going to be in the driver's seat to win that SEC's championship, so it certainly does that.
Do you worry at all about kind of keeping your guys level, knowing just the energy and the importance of this one?
I thought we had 2 good practices so far, Sunday and Monday. So I think they know. I mean, they want to. Our guys like playing in big games, and I think they're excited to go play in a big game.
Christian.
Coach, what does it take to stay a little bit more consistent defensively, continuing the trend of last week's first performance where you held an opponent under 20 points scored?
Yeah, I think, the one thing, they did a great job. I mean, held them to 10 points last week. 7 of them were given up by the offense. And only in the touchdown, I think, came late in the game. So I think we did a really good job. I thought, I think 11 guys running the ball as hard as they can. I think if you look at that game, the thing that I saw differently, I think the defensive staff did a good job of making some tweaks within the scheme to put guys in position. Some of it was to put guys in position. Some of it was because we our limit of numbers of players that we had. We've been so shorthanded defensively. So some of it was kind of almost forced upon us for the personnel that we had available for that game. But I think, when you watch the difference between that and the first 3 games, you see a distinct drop in missed tackles. You see a massive improvement of 11 guys running extremely hard to the football. And those are things that we can control. And those are things that I think, I was worried about when you say coming into the season because you'd miss so much football time, and then in training camp, I'll say this a little bit too. I think this year has been different. When you started training camp, there's guys going out to practice every day wondering if we're playing. I mean, we weren't even sure with who we're playing, what we're doing, how's it all going to work, are we even going to make it to the season? So you didn't have spring practice. Your training camp and then it's a completely unorthodox training camp. So I think there were a lot of guys that weren't to the level they needed to be ready to play. And I thought I think we looked more like a Florida defense on Saturday night. Now that's just taken this extended period of time to get to this point of the season and us to look that way. And if you say, well, what about offense? What about this? Well, we got a 5th-year senior quarterback with some talented wide receivers, and they're throwing and catching and doing skill work all the time. So the big difference between our ability to throw and catch at a high level and 11 guys running to the football with a nasty, disposition when they get there. They're a little different personality in those things. And so I think it's just taken a little bit to get there, and hopefully now we see us play at that level the rest of the season.
And can you just put into a little bit of context about what it means for, against Missouri to have players in better positions on defense to be able to execute the plays that you're looking for?
Well, one of the things you're looking at is we have some young, new faces out there. Well, when you don't have spring and you have a limited training camp with limited scrimmages, you're still trying to learn what guys do well. And so what we're trying to do defensively is saying, okay, hey, we think this guy can do this really well. We think we can play this coverage. We think we can rush this guy out of this position. And then you get into games and they don't do it as well as you think, but they do other things really well. And so it's just kind of learning the team to tweak to that. It's like, it's offensively, I know every year, like, hey, boy, do we want to be more invested in the run game or the pass game? Ideally, we're going into the season, want to be 50-50. Now, it usually sways one way or the other as the season goes, and we're not afraid to do that, of being able to do that. It's the same thing defensively, is we think this is what our guys are going to do really well. And when you get into games, you realize, hey, this guy struggles doing this in a game situation against these things, but he's better than we thought he would be another way. We got to put, those guys at that position to do the right thing.
Thank you, Coach.
Demetrius.
Hey, Coach, you talked about it in the past about having or needing the team to play a more complete game. Obviously, last week, the Dolphins started off a little slow, but then they picked it up. You talked about the defense. The special teams was able to convert both field goals, all 5 extra points. Do you feel as though they played a complete game against Missouri? And then how do you sort of build on that moving forward?
Yeah, I think it was closer to a complete game. I don't know that it was, but I mean, I don't know what a complete game to me would be. We like score on every play and they get -5 yards every play, and maybe that would be, perfect of everything. But no, I thought it was. I thought you look, I thought defensively played at a much higher level. I thought special teams. I think one of the things that you deal with is, I think when you get into the special teams part of the game, I thought if you looked, we had a lot of guys in places. Now, you're looking at the special teams and say, okay, well, Evan didn't play, and so Howard had to come in and he did a good job. But if you go top to bottom on special teams, there were a lot of new faces out there playing. There are a lot of different faces covering kicks, covering punts, on the punt return team, on kickoff return team. Because I think what gets caught up on special teams is everyone views the special teams as the snapper, the punter, the kicker, and the returner. Okay, that's one guy out of that's 1/11th of each deal. There's a lot of other guys out there on the field. So I was really happy if you see a lot of our we had a lot of guys that got the opportunity to go make plays and be on special teams and get their first action even on special teams, and those guys did pretty good. And it was that's a hard part. We need to get much better there though. Need to get a lot better. Hopefully we get some guys back with special teams that help a lot, and increase that depth, when you are looking at special teams. You're looking at, you go into training camp sometime. I think there's some times this year, we've had, when you start a training camp, there's a 4th stringers playing on special teams that from where our training camp depth chart was at certain positions. So, and then offensively, like I said, we started slow. I think one thing we got to be cautious of offensively is, it was like we punted 3 times in that game. We'd punted 3 times the whole season. I'd love to say, hey, we're going to score on 80% of our possessions on the year. That's probably a little unrealistic. It'd be a heck of a deal. I wouldn't be sad. But, we've set a very high standard, right? I think someone said, like, Kyle Trask set an SEC touchdown record. And we've done that all in conference-only games. A lot of times some of those records can get thrown, get a little skewed in who your opponent is week 1 or week 2. Those were all conference games. So we've been very efficient offensively, but we can't get caught up into that maybe that's the norm. So even when we say we struggled a little bit on Saturday, maybe we played a little bit more normally on Saturday, and not to the an extremely high level that we've been, and obviously it'll be a big challenge this week playing such a great defense.
Thank you.
Buddy.
Hi, Dan. You came into this game worrying about this team being flat, maybe not knowing who your player's going to be. You're behind 7-6 there, and wondering how this team is going to respond.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about the moments when it seems like a switch went on for Kadarius Toney?
Well, I think
he and Trask scored 2 touchdowns in whatever it was, 33 seconds.
Well, I think the playmakers out there, and I think, it was a big deal. When you look at game management, it's 7-6, and we haven't given up a point on defense. We're losing 7-6. We got the ball. We're driving down, in the first half. You're looking to score on that drive. Kadarius makes a great play, makes 2 guys miss and probably breaks 2 or 3 tackles, goes and scores. Well, your immediate thought to look at the clock is we have timeouts. We're kicking off. I'm immediately on with Todd and saying, hey, we got to get 2 for 1 because we get the ball to start the second half. So what you don't want to do is let them go down, score, and then it's an equal possession. So our discussion immediately got on to what we're doing, how we're going to try to get in position, how we want to use the timeouts to try to get and steal and one more possession at the end of the first half. I think, because we had just taken a 13-7 lead, defense comes out on third down, makes a huge play. I think it was on third down, makes a huge play to get the turnover. And now we have a ball in the red zone. We take a shot on the first play, and Kadarius runs a great route. Kyle throws a great pass. Does a great job reading the coverage. I think they doubled Kyle Pitts and Trey Grimes on the play. Both got double teamed and left Kadarius one-on-one, and Kyle was able to find him. And we get a quick score. And then immediately, I'm back on with Todd again. I said we must score too quick again, but remember, let's not give up a score here, and let's try to get the ball back one more time, and maybe we can get that. I guess in theory, a 3 for 1 there. We'll get another quick score, and then try to. You want to get that last possession of the half when you're starting the ball in the second half, and we did get the ball back. And unfortunately, we had great field position. We have a young guy gets a penalty on the punt return, which knocks us back. We gained some yards. They get a penalty, and we had the opportunity to throw the ball in the end zone there at the end of the first half and try to get that one more score. And then, obviously, then you want to come out in the second half and get that quick score. I think it's very disheartening for a team to score twice in a row without you running an offensive play, it kind of really sways the course of games.
But Kadarius has upped his game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's done a great job. He's done a great job. We know he's a playmaker, but he's really worked on becoming an every down player. I think people, to me, the thing I get most pleased with, I think I always seen it. You put the ball in his hand and watching him make people miss or break a tackle is one thing. The thing I've been most pleased with is his route running. And his ability to take that talent and his quickness and his escapability and put that into route running context and be a great route runner.
Real quick, you have a newfound talents back here in the secondary, apparently, and your third down, I think you were 3 for 15 there at Missouri was, I believe. What is that all about, and where did this defense come from, and how satisfied are you about that young talent back there?
Well, I think it was really good. I think, you look in this game and you look at one, we're able to get a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. 2, I think one of the things you look at Missouri and the success they've had is when they're on schedule. The strength of their team has been up front, their offensive line, and being knock people back and run the ball, and playing in front of the chains instead of behind the chains, if you will. And, we got them behind the chains, and that's not the strength of what they were as a team, and we were able to take advantage of it.
Thank you.
Casty.
Dan, a couple of things. First, do you have any sort of anticipated timeline for the 4 starters that missed Saturday, their return, and how will that affect the guys that played pretty well in their place? We know I'm not going to get into every detail of when everybody's coming back or who's what, and I don't do it to be evasive. You know what I mean? I think with the COVID, I think if you guys know me, usually I give you the injury report every week and this and that. But when you're dealing with just injuries, that's one thing. And the COVID, you're talking about medical records for kids and this stuff, and it's kind of become a weird deal of how everybody does it. I kind of let them. If they announce it, they announce it. If they don't, they don't. More than me announcing it all that way. So I'm not elusive that way. I'm not trying to be kind of or evasive with that. We certainly hope to have a lot more guys available this week than last week, if you will. You guys seem to find that all out on your own anyway. So I mean, maybe our guys tell you. I don't mind that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just don't want to be the one reporting medical records on kids when it comes to this, the viruses and the illnesses more than a high ankle sprain type of deal. But the second part of the question is anytime, one of the things that's great, if you ever watch us, I love to play a lot of guys. We love to roll guys through. Keeps them fresh, not just during a game, but during the course of a season. And then it also builds depth and talent. And I think so one of the things by having guys out, forcing other guys to play more plays, it creates depth within your team. Now you feel more comfortable with more guys playing. I think everybody looked and everyone freaked out, like, what's wrong with Kyle Pitts? He didn't play that a series in the last series of the first half against Texas A&M. I said, well, because he wasn't supposed to play that series. He only got the ball, I think, 3 times in the first half or 4 times. And, and then you look at this game. I mean, and Kamari Gamble come in, had a great catch. Keon Zipper has come in and done a nice job, had a nice catch. We're getting those guys in. 1, it keeps Kyle fresh and healthy. And 2, it gets those guys experience, creates depth. The same thing going on secondary-wise. We had a bunch of guys out in the secondary, so we had to play a bunch of young guys. Well, now as more guys come back, what it's done is create depth and allow us to rotate guys more, which then keeps you healthier and fresher during the course of a game and a season.
And then second question, what have you kind of seen out of Stetson Bennett? I know he's a little bit of a hot button issue with Georgia fans. Just, did they go to JT Daniels? What have you seen out of him, and do you prepare for the possibility of 2 quarterbacks?
Well, you always have to prepare for multiple quarterbacks, of what's going on. Yeah, not that you prepare for it, you know what's going on and what the other guy might bring to the table and their strengths. I'm sure people, as they prepare for us, you look and say, okay, Kyle Trask brings this to the table, Emory Jones brings this to the table, and well, if what happened, how do we deal with that situation with who's in the game? But I think with him, I think one thing they must, and he's been playing. I don't know their situation. I haven't watched all their other quarterbacks to know what they're doing. I think he does a nice job of managing the game. You look what they do. They're a team that's based off of. They're a running back based offense, right? If you look. If you would look at our team, you're going to say, hey, we're a quarterback skill position based offense. They're a running back based offense, so they want to get the ball to their running backs. And I look at it. I mean, they have their third leading receiver is a running back. They have 2 receivers with 10 or more catches, and a running back with 10 or more catches is all they have. With where the ball goes to. So the majority of the touches are going to their backs. Well, I think he does probably a really good job of getting him in the right plays, checking him into the right plays, managing the game through that and distributing the ball, getting the ball to the running backs the way they want to. And I think people get on him. He played some really good defenses. I think Kentucky's got a very good defense. Alabama's got a good defense. But he's still able to lead them and put up a whole bunch of points. I know that he was down as top receiver, didn't play last week. And the playmaker, the Pickens kid, I don't think he played last week. So when you take, and you're kind of that deal and you take one of your playmaking wideouts out of the game, that can affect the quarterback play as well. So, I think he does a good job. He's accurate with the ball. He can make the different throws and get the ball where it needs to be. And, if you you look at his numbers and his efficiency rating this year. They're not bad. For the type of offense they run.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, let's go Alan, and then we'll close with Zach Albaverde.
Hey, Dan, there's so much offensive personnel carryover from last year's game in Jacksonville, and same with Georgia's defense. It would seem that at least revisiting those matchups are useful as a reference point for your guys to be able to see, what player A did against player B. How much do you still rely on on that game, at least as whether it be a benchmark or whatever?
Well, you do some, but we have a lot of new faces out there. You know, we have four of those wide receivers for us are playing in the NFL right now. We have our tailbacks playing in the NFL right now. So some of the matchups are a little bit different this year for us. But it is. I mean, I'll be honest with you. You know, you watch. We've done this. We're going to run our offense, and they're going to run their defense. You know, we're not coming up with and throwing everything out. We're going to, you know, and running a whole new offense that we haven't run. We're going to run our offense this week. You know, and I can't imagine them coming up there and saying, hey, you know, we have this defense that has been one of the top defenses in the country right now, and we're going to scrap all of that and start new to try to create it. So, you know, the matchups are the matchups, and you know you're going to try to get some beneficial ones, and you know the guys that played in that game last year that are back are a year older and hopefully a little bit better for us. I'm sure they feel the same about their guys as well. And then there's different guys. You know, I mean, unfortunately, I think they've had to deal with some injuries. We've had to deal with kind of a depleted roster on, you know, because of varying circumstances. So, you know, but I think that's the hard part when you get to the matchups. But their guys are going to do what they're doing, and we'll do what we do.
Sure. And I saw your video clip from a while back where you mentioned whether it be arm wrestling or running stadium steps, you know, a true competitor wants to beat somebody's ass, man.
Mm-hmm.
In that vein, what do you relish about coaching against, you know, a defensive guy like Kirby?
Well, it's fun. I mean, you relish. This is a competitive game. I mean, you're here. You'd love to go we want to be a championship football team, and you know, this whoever wins this game is going to have the inside track towards being that, and that's what you're competing for. In this game is that opportunity to put yourself in the driver's seat to go win a championship, and you know those are the opportunities you want to be in here is competing for championships as the season goes on.
Thank you, Dan.
Close with Zach.
Hey Dan, I wanted to ask you about Kyrie Campbell, but one quick thing on Tony. You mentioned his route running. I mean, you can see on that touchdown that he had. Like it was a ridiculous move that he put on that guy. Just how unconventional might he be a little bit with his route running, but how has he been able to use that to his advantage just because of how slippery he is?
Yeah, I don't know unconventional. I think it's just the discipline of him being able to do that. You know, of you know him being able to, you know, he's such a quick change direction guy. So his ability to change direction and run a route and set you up one way and go a different way. You know, I think that's what you want. You know, you look at routes, you're going to coach routes, you're talking about the top end of routes or releases of routes, you know, your ability to get in and out of the breaks. And he's so quick, he's able to do that at a high level. He's really worked to do that at a much higher level. So, you know, that's one of the things that's made him, I think, even such a better player this year.
And then Kyrie, you talked about after the game how he just kind of raises everybody's play. Just for him personally, what do you think that moment meant for him, just not being able to play the first 3 games, and then he steps right in and he's ready to go like he didn't even have time off?
Well, I think you know, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you're a guy, especially a guy that's a senior, and you're not out there on the field playing. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you know, like I said, we've had a lot of guys miss games for various reasons, and it's never easy on any of them. Because any competitor wants to be out there on the field, you know, competing, playing, helping the team win. And so I think that's really hard, but I thought it was, you know, I knew he was really excited to be out there and get back on the field and start making plays again.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Coach.
That's it? All right.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, have a great day. Have a good week.
You too.